Joe Diomede, TTRP TV, coming at you from the heart of the Bronx, Pelham Parkway area, where my friend Paul, that I went to high school with, I won't mention how many years ago, but we graduated in the 70s, sometime in the 70s, and he now still lives in the house that when I knew him as a youngster, he's still there. We're in his studio basement because he's made a career out of being a DJ, worked in the music industry. As you can see, all these iconic posters and t-shirts behind us. I'll do a little round shot, and he actually works, this is his studio that he works a couple of radio stations from remotely, and he works at the studio itself. And Paul, how many years have you been in this music industry?
Well, I guess since I started with Fordham University, which is very close to where we are in the Bronx, and that's the owner and home of WFUV, which is now really an internationally known public radio station, but it was a student radio station when I was a student there, and I entered in 1979, so we're talking roughly 40 years and change.
Right.
Yeah. I've been doing it for professionally, so to speak, for since 1983, so 39 years this year.
83. Wow. Because I remember the man you can't see right behind us on that poster, John Lennon, the day he got killed. My brother and I were working on the Upper East Side, and we heard the news. The bartender came in and just told us, and we were heading over, and then I flicked on the radio, and you were on it. It was like, wow. Oh, that's my friend Paul. And
so you heard me in the wee small hours of December 9, 1980. Reporting the death of Lennon.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Stuff like that is a blur. I don't even think about those things, even though I experienced.
I'm getting goosebumps,
all the things, all the great moments, great and tragic, great and wonderful moments. I think that one of the real blessings to do what I do for a living of being a radio host, and especially connected to playing music on the radio, is that you do have a way to react to this publicly. You have an opportunity to share your feelings and your perspective, and what you do is you point to songs that people know and connect it that way. And I think that is basically what I do. It's like sound collage art.
Right.
There's a song for everything. And so, I think that it's on a kind of a cosmic level. That's the gift part of this. It's not a bad way to make a living. I don't make crazy money.
Right.
I live comfortably. This is not about fame and fortune and owning yachts or anything like that. But in terms of having that connection and continuity with people in their lives, even being able to connect with somebody like you that I knew, back in our schoolboy days.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, you can't put a money.
No, you can't put a price on it. And you've interviewed these iconic figures over the years,
I have.
And I even have a few up there. Well, I'm interviewing an iconic figure now. But I think your station interviewed Robbie McIntosh, and I have an interview with Robbie McIntosh on my channel as well. And
I was very lucky in my life to meet all the people that signed my records for me, and when I started really doing most of my broadcasting from this home studio, I decided to decorate. I went through, we'll go in my record room in a moment, but I went through and pulled out the best signed albums. And there's a lot of cool stuff here.
Wow!
So it's always, as Burt Bacharach put it, there's always something there to remind me. So anybody in my life that that I had a chance to sit and talk to, they left me a souvenir.
Sting right there.
Yeah.
And we got Tom Jones, and the band. So who was that from the band who signed it? Robbie
Robertson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
R.E.M.? Did you meet R.E.M.?
I did. I did.
Skype or whatever.
That poster is not a souvenir of that specifically, but I met R.E.M. As a matter of fact. I'll just since you brought this
Paul's
up,
disappearing.
He's
disappearing into the studio.
This real quick.
But this is these mics look pretty cool. I look professional, huh? Tap.
These are vintage microphones from the 1960s that are my pride as a collector of hi-fi and stuff like that. So when
we thought they looked really cool.
They look cool. They sound even cooler. So you asked about REM. This is a CD sleeve, and it's got all four guys on it. I spent the day with them at Saturday Night Live, watching them rehearse when Monster was the record.
Oh, wow.
Know? So
My daughter's jealous. Hi, Jessie.
yeah, oh yeah, and all of these are souvenirs of a time Linda Ronstadt interviewed for Sirius Satellite Radio. Joni Mitchell was doing a TV spot for Channel 2. She did a morning show, and we sat and had a conversation, and she signed my thing. And there's another Robbie Robertson.
Oh, Robbie again.
In the band.
Okay.
I've known those guys, through the years independently. Levon and Rick, they've passed on, but I got to know some of these people,
Wow.
on friendlier terms than others, and others I met only once. But meeting Sting was exciting because we went to his spectacular home on Central Park, and to be in his space, you realize just how world class a guy he is. He was doing a radio thing the day that 9/11 happened. He had a bunch of Americans at his villa in Tuscany, and they were recording a live album when the news hit, and it changed the tenor of that performance tremendously. And they wound up putting the record out as a tribute.
Wow.
So stuff like that happens.
Yeah, I mean, and music connects all of us in some way to a point in our life, a memory. It triggers. It's like smells. Smells and sound, they trigger these memories, these that become alive in our brains, and music is definitely one of them. And it's and like you said, what a great way to make a living, just to be a part of that.
It's like I say, a privilege to be able to. I never kept a diary written down, but my radio shows are my diary.
Sure.
Because everything that I experience in some small way is going to be reflected by the music I choose to play.
WHUD. Didn't you work for them?
No, I never did.
Oh, I thought you did.
I did. Well, I'll tell you, in my career, which was based in the
New York City local
New York City area, I was on a couple of Westchester-based radio stations. Mm-hmm. One of them was WFAS. You're thinking?
Oh, okay, maybe
which was a famous. This is starting out, just picking up weekend shows and getting established.
Sure.
And then I moved to New York City.
I'm gonna put Sting down.
And a lot of the you'll see them around, but there are souvenirs like WLIR, which is a famous station on Long Island that broke new music in the '80s, alternative rock. WNEW was one of my stations.
And you just moved 2 numbers down from 92.7 to 90.7.
90.7 has always been the home base. I can say that I first cracked the mic there, as I remember it. It was New Year's Eve, 1979 into 80. We had pre-recorded a special retrospective of the music of the 1970s, and I remember hearing myself in the car radio being driven home from a New Year's party by a friend of mine.
Right.
Maybe it was you.
Maybe.
But I would have been 18 or 19 when we did.
Well, I'm looking over your shoulder and I see Frankie, and I was having lunch with my cousin, breakfast with my cousin today, and we called you, and he may have even been a little starstruck, Paul, because when I said I was coming to see you, he said, "Oh, Paul Cavalconte, I listened to him." So you have another station.
Well, that's one of my stations.
And what do you do there? You do oldies? Because he was asking me, and I said, "I don't think so." But
so Fordham University's WFUV is a rock station.
Right.
And my program, Cavalcade, is on Sunday evenings. It's on from 6 to 9 p.m. in America. You can stream it all over the world, and I basically kind of do my thing. WNYC, which is a very famous, nearly 100-year-old radio station in New York City, has one remaining popular music program, which is called New Standards now, and which features the music of the era of Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Nat King Cole, Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, etc.
Okay.
And that program, and this music has always had a special place for me personally. It really is the music that I grew up with, because I was the only child of parents who met late in life, so I really connect with like the rock generation. I mean, not having older brothers or sisters, I really grew up with my parents' music. So I knew big band era music and the American songbook era of music really before I think I knew rock. And I was able to take over this program, and I've developed it over the last few years. And it's heard in New York City on Saturday nights, and it also streams on a worldwide platform, which is newstandards.org. And then finally, because I always did classical radio and did classical music on WFUV when it was sort of a magazine format. Through the years, I was on different classical programs, including an attempt to take classic FM from the UK and make it an American network. We did that in the 1990s. But anyway, there's this classical station that's almost as old as WNYC, and it happens to be WNYC's sister station in New York, WQXR. And QXR is really the brand. It's the classical music radio station that everybody from the New York area has always known. And again, now through worldwide streaming, that really speaks from the heart of New York to the world. And I host programs on WQXR.
Is that on the west side, their studio?
Well, their studio has been, the radio station was owned by the New York Times for many years, and it was located right in the heart of Times Square. Then it moved to Chelsea. Right now, the radio studios are located in the Hudson Square area of Soho.
Okay. Because remember, years ago, you set me up in an interview on someone else when my book came out. And you were working for the station, but it wasn't you who
interviewed. It was probably when I was working for the station CD 101.9.
Nope.
And it was also in Soho.
And it was QXR. It was another rock station. ROQ? Did you work for another rock station?
Well, yes. Okay, so our radio station in the West Village that I described, the jazz station, CD 101.9, it became, for 3 years, a rock station called RXP.
Ah, that's the one, RXP.
Right, so you were a guest on the Public Affairs program with my friend Mark Farrell, who was the production director of the station, and also did like a Sunday morning program.
10, 11 years ago, right.
Exactly, that was 10 or 11 years ago, that was... an attempt to do a rock station like FUV is on a commercial platform. Right. It kind of came and went, unfortunately, but FUV still does that mix of old and new rock that, is really not done by anybody else.
Okay, and the CD 101 still
CD 101.9 ended when RXP began. See, the commercial radio stations change format a lot.
Right.
That's why in public radio, as I say, WQXR has always been classical music. We're talking about 80 years. WNYC has been like an all-purpose New York City information, news, special programs. And then in the NPR era, it's the radio station where programs like Radio Lab and so on on the media, whatever, were created locally and became network programs. And WFUV, at least for the past 25 or so years, has done the so-called AAA album adult alternative rock format as a regular format.
Great music. And LIR's gone as an alternative.
LIR, unfortunately,
not gone, but it's changed its format.
Yeah, it was sold, and there really is no station that does that era of music. Although there is an alternative rock station in New York City now, but their focus is more on kind of 90s grunge. The beauty of LIR at this time is it was where real new wave of the 80s broke. It was like KROQ in Los Angeles.
So. I remember hearing U2 first on LIR, and then my cousin called me. She was going to Albany State, and she said, this new band is playing at Mayfest. And I was like, who are they? U2. I was like, I've been listening to them. Paul's getting a call in the middle of our interview.
I am. I'm getting
He's a busy guy.
I'm getting a call from my friend Harriet.
And Harriet's on our interview.
Hello, Hattie, darling. I'm groovy.
But anyway,
we're on my friend Joe's
TTRP
program.
Live. It's all live, so it all happens.
It's all live. Hold on a second.
And I saw U2 at Mayfest. Next year, I saw him in the Garden.
He got it in there.
I got it in.
So my friend Harriet Stubbs.
There's Harriet.
She is a world-class classical pianist, and we're actually going to be hosting a salon evening of music, and we have a call now to check in and talk about that stuff. But Harriet,
last name?
Her name is Harriet Stubbs, Stubbs.
There you go, classical
pianist.
And
you should definitely seek her out online. Are you a HarrietStubbs.com online?
I am indeed. Yes.
Wonderful. And Heaven and Hell, The Doors of Perception is your album of a couple of years ago?
It is, and it's available on Spotify, Apple Music.
Apple Music. And during the pandemic, from her flat in London, she opened up the window and played out into the streets, and it got a gazillion YouTube hits. And very soon, I can't say what it is, but she's going to be recognized in a big way for her efforts.
Nice. I thought I recognized a familiar accent. My wife's from Dorset, Harriet.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous down there.
Yeah, lovely down there. Oh, good. I look forward to your interview. So you're interviewing Harriet?
Well, we're supposed to do a call, but I'm going to call Harriet back in about, can I do 15 or so?
Of course you can. Take your time.
Wonderful. Could you give us a little minute waltz to
Put
play
it
us
near the
out?
microphone.
I'm not by the piano.
You're not by the piano. Can you hum a few
bars.
bars? This is the kind of crap we're going to do for, like, gazillion-dollar fundraising people, Yeah. I'm trying to class up our game here,
Come on, Harriet.
Hum a few bars. All right, I'll call you back in just a few.
All right, take care.
All right.
Bye.
So,
Well, there you go. I love live TV
Well,
because everything happens.
Trashing
we don't
up the
get
world
nervous.
of culture as much as possible.
Of course. Why not?
You know.
And, we got a personal favor.
Yes.
Do you remember what it is? The CD upstairs?
Oh, right. I'm going to play that on my show. Absolutely.
You hear that?
Yeah.
I got a couple of happy people back in France then.
Yes, of
it's
course.
a great CD.
Yes.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. So you got to let us know when it's playing live.
Yes, I'll let you know.
And we'll screen it.
I'll give you a timestamp when I put the show together.
Okay.
About when it's going to play.
So ready, set up that American tour there, guys.
Yeah.
Nothing concrete, .com, little plug for my wife's band. But cool. So we're in this great studio, and I like to expand a little.
Yes.
So I'm gonna disappear. We'll take the mic, and I'm gonna follow Paul around. He can point out a few things around the studio.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
So I'm gonna disappear. Bye. I will be holding the mic and following Paul.
It's okay. Don't miss Joe too much.
Oh yeah. You know what I look like. You know what I look like.
All right. So here we go. This setup is where I actually can sit in front of these computer screens, and I've got, the microphone and headphones, and I can use digital equipment to put together my shows and also to access a tremendous amount of music that's stored digitally, including stuff that's dubbed from vinyl. I can also slip CDs in and extract the audio. So putting the shows together in this way has really freed me up to do a lot of different things, and I'm able to work in, my home setting. Sometimes when I broadcast live, especially for the classical music WQXR, we use a setup that allows me to dial directly into the studio in New York and go, live from here. So that's kind of like the console, that I've set up to do that stuff. And then in my media room, I'll take the mic here and we'll go back into the record lair. Here we are with, my lifetime's worth of record albums. As I mentioned, we picked out some of the fancy signed ones and put them up on the wall, but these are, all the things that I've amassed, and there's a pile of them there as well. And you'll see that there are turntables and all kinds of hi-fi equipment here and there for dubbing the records or auditioning them. And some of my radio station memorabilia is up on the walls here as well. And so this is my workspace basically, and.
Cool man cave.
It's a cool man cave. It started as a man cave. It started as a world for a hobbyist. And then the pandemic happened, and we were told by the radio stations, if you can possibly record your shows from home, or if we give you the equipment to transmit live but stay at home. And, we said, yeah, well, let's give it a shot. I miss the community of the radio station, but I have to admit I don't miss commuting. So it's actually been a pleasure to be mostly home-based. We do at WFUV broadcast from the studio now, and there are some limited things that we're doing, with New York Public Radio as well. But you must realize radio stations, are a great network of people. It's not just the one or two men or women who happen to be on the air at any given moment. There's a great big support staff. And during the COVID time, we've had to observe, a health protocol and distancing that made it more practical for the hosts actually to remain in place, even though people have slowly come back to the company to work behind the scenes. So that's kind of where it all stands. But during that time, they gave me some equipment on loan so I could really set things up in the way that I've shown you. And I'm happy to do this as literally a cottage industry, And it's wonderful that Joe was able to visit today, because Joe is really somebody who remembers us, back in the days when we would put on school shows, and now we're putting on school shows for the whole wide world, so.
Very cool.
So,
well, let me, so anyway, I have no idea how this looks, I think. Well, Paul, that's been really enlightening. I mean, really great, really great. Back to just hearing your story and how it began and how the radio stations work, and So what's your next project?
My next project is to go shopping for records in New Orleans at Euclid, or
Okay.
or I'm gonna go. I'm just grabbing props left and right in this melange of moi. You know.
Yeah, and there's a cool little clock, CD 101.
That's a bit of memorabilia from that. That's an original WPLJ subway poster from the 1970s. That fell off the truck when I did my college internship at that station.
Okay.
So every place you go, you take a little piece with you. This was.
Hey, grab the mic again. And
This was something that Rufus Wainwright gave us recently for a show that was done with WFUV sponsoring, and here is one of my many vintage turntables for dubbing music from the original vinyl, and so here we are, Radioland.
Okay, so sign out for me on TTRP TV, Paul.
TTR, say those letters.
TTRP TV.
Okay, I got to rehearse those letters. I may not get it right the first time. TTRP TV, signing off, and smooth sailing.